Good morning, Professor Elms. Hope you're doing well this morning. So my speech that I'm doing is on Nike ads. I'm going to compare two ads. The first ad I'm going to do is the Bo Jackson cross-training ad from 1989. And the next one I'm going to do is the Colin Kaepernick Just Do It ad from 2018 that stirred up a lot of controversy. So the first ad is, as you see, Bo Jackson. He's standing there he's got football pads on his shoulders and a baseball bat across the shoulders. It's because at this time he was going into both playing professional football and baseball, which is something that hadn't really been done before during this time. And two things that I saw in this advertisement, was the automatic activation of attitudes. So this ad didn't require a lot of deep thinking. You look at it and you immediately see what they're trying to portray. A dual sport athlete with both his equipment on there, and they've got the caption down below explaining that Nike supports dual sport athleticism and they can prepare people with that, specifically with their shoe, the Nike Air Trainers. And so Nike in this ad is making someone believe automatically that if they partner with Nike, they can be a dual sport athlete and succeed just like Bo. And so it's not a lot of deep thinking, it's just an automatic trigger of these thought processes. And also we see some visual rhetoric in this advertisement. In the symbolic action, it symbolizes the capability of being a dual sport athlete and the capability of diversity within their sports. And then also human intervention with Bo specifically using the equipment for both sports, having the football pads on and the baseball bat. And so he's representing by his physical placement, playing both of these sports that he does. And so this ad was effective. The ads with Bo Jackson being a dual sport athlete were very prominent throughout this time because Bo represented a new breed of athlete, something that hadn't been seen before. And it really stood out to people, and it represented something new that was coming apart. And people wanted to be like Bo because he opened a new horizon for athletes. People didn't have to choose football or basketball or baseball or swimming, anything like that. They didn't have to pick one sport or the other. They could just go and do whatever they wanted. They could play whatever sport they wanted. And that helped make Nike a more diverse brand for sports. And so the ad that I'm going to compare it to is the Colin Kaepernick ad from 2018. As you see, it's his face with the phrase, "Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything." And that is representing when he stood up for the Black Lives Matter movement and for social justice rights for African Americans during this time of civil rights issues that we see today, where during the national anthem in football games, he would take a knee instead of standing and saluting the flag. He was just standing up for what he believed in, and it was a pretty controversial time, and this ad created a lot of controversy, and we see specifically critical race theory coming out of this pretty obviously. We can ask questions like, how has race affected sports during this time? We saw a lot of division coming between some players saying that they should still stand for the flag in this time, and some saying let's take a knee and defend what we believe in. Between throughout sports news and all of that, this was a huge topic of, should we suspend players who do this? Should we acknowledge players who do this? All of this stuff. And Colin Kaepernick lost his job, and some argue that he lost his job not because of his capabilities as an athlete, but because of this action that he took with kneeling at the national anthem. And also, you can also ask, how does this idea of race shape one's identity? And Colin Kaepernick let his identity as an African American man shape his identity instead of the sport that he played. He chose to be a social rights activist over a quarterback for the NFL. And we also see visual rhetoric in this advertisement. We see the symbolic action where this advertisement clearly represents the Black Lives Matter movement. And we see the human intervention with Kaepernick being in the background, representing somebody who sacrifices for what they believe. And this ad was effective because it was shown during a time where racial injustice was a hot topic. athletes were wanting to use their voices for these issues, but some didn't feel the freedom to. And this showed Nike representing standing strong for what you believe in the face of adversity and defending those rights. And it made Nike portray as a strong brand in the face of troubles. So there are differences between these ads. Bo Jackson's ad targeted sports primarily. It had a very simple message and there wasn't really any controversy behind it. Whereas Colin Kaepernick's ad was a message beyond sports and it made people think deeply and it created some controversy. But they were very similar in the idea that it sought to represent something more than the status quo. They wanted to be more than just simple athletes in one sport. They wanted to reach beyond what the world told them to. They showed that there were no limits in their athleticism, whether in what sport they play or what they represent beyond sports. And so Nike is representing something beyond just the status quo in these advertisements. And on my last slide, you see the sources from where I found these pictures. Hope this provide a lot of insight towards these advertisements, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.